Hello everyone and welcome back to The Way We Roll. Today is another how to play video. Today we will be learning the game of Bohnanza. To bean or not to bean? That's what the game says. Don't look at me. Bohnanza is a unique game designed by Uwe Rosenberg. And the way this game works is everyone is bean farmers and they are trying their best to plant the biggest crop that they can and harvest it at just the right time to get the right amount of points, or money in this case, or in real life. As usual, we'll talk about the setup of the game, we'll talk about how to play the game, and we'll talk about how to win the game. So first off, let's talk about setup. Today I will be setting up for a 4-player game. There are some differences depending on number of players. The main difference in the game, as far as setup goes, there are a litany of different type of cards in the game. Everything from soybeans to stink beans to wax beans, all the way down to coffee beans. Now, depending on how many players you are playing this game with, depends on how many of these cards are excluded. In a 3-player game, cocoa beans are thrown out of the game. In a 4 to 5-player game, coffee beans are taken out of the game. And in a 6 to 7-player game, cocoa and garden beans are both taken out of the game. So, we're going to go ahead and take these coffee beans and we're going to throw them out. For all the rest of the cards, you're going to take them all together, shuffle them up, and then deal 5 cards to each player. It's very important about the order of these cards. Once they're dealt, they don't need to be touched until they're completely dealt out to everyone. And even after that, the players can look at their cards, but they cannot rearrange. We'll explain during the gameplay why that's so important. But just for this, just give everyone 5 cards and leave it in that order. Also, one other difference whenever you're setting up, they have these mats which each player gets their own. In a 3-player game, everyone starts out with 1, 2, 3 fields exposed. In 4 to 7, everyone starts out with 2. So now that all the cards have been dealt out, they will pick up the cards and look at them, keeping the exact same order in which is showing them. So everyone gets their cards, and the game is officially set up. That's all it takes. Once you've done that, you're ready to play this game. Now we're going to jump into the actual gameplay of this game and how to play. So player 1 here will look at their cards and they will play the first card in their hand. They have no choice. So for instance, in this one, it is a cocoa bean. They will play that in one of their fields. Now, they can choose to play a second card if they like, so a stink bean. However, they are going to choose not to in this instance. Each turn has 4 phases. That is phase 1 complete. Phase 2, you will draw from the deck 2 cards. So they drew a blue bean and a green bean. Now, neither one of those match anything. Well, the green bean does match something later on in their hand, but the blue bean doesn't. They don't have anything coming up to match that, so it's not necessarily advantageous for them to take it. These 2 cards are up for auction. They can choose to either take both those cards, or they can choose to trade around town. This player may ask the town, or may ask everyone else, hey, is there anything that someone will trade me for one of these, or if they can give me a cocoa bean? Now, player 2 is looking through their hand, and they see that they have a blue bean coming up. So they could probably use that blue bean card, because you need to get more and more of these cards, because at the bottom of the card it has a set number down here, and each of these numbers corresponds with a number of points. So for instance, on this red bean, in order to get 1 victory point or 1 coin, you need to have 2 matching before you harvest. Then it's 3 for 2, 4 for 3, and then 5 for 4. So you need to get multiple of each type in order to get more and more coins. So they need this blue bean. and they don't want this blue bean. So they look through their hands and they say, hey, I've got a green bean. I will trade for that blue bean. And this person sees that they have a green bean coming up later on in their hand, then they might choose to make that deal. So they say, sure, I will do that trade. So they will trade them a green bean for the blue bean. So this blue bean will go here. These two green beans will go to this player. All of these cards must be planted at this point. This person, player number 2, will go ahead and take this blue bean and play it onto their field. Player 1 will take both these green beans and play them in an open field. Now, there's something called harvesting in this game, and that is where you take up these cards and try to get as many victory points or coins as you can. So, like I explained earlier with the red bean, they need either 2, 3, 4, or 5 to get points for them. You can harvest before that. You will get 0 points. So ideally, it's not something you want to do. Now, once they have beans planted in both sides of their fields, then whenever they harvest, they can choose either one unless one of those sides has only 1 card in it. If it has 1 card in it, you cannot harvest that one if there is another option. So they would have to harvest, if player 1 wanted to harvest right now, they would have to harvest both of these green beans and then put them into the discard pile and get 0 points. That's the end of phase 3, as they have planted everything that they've gotten in those trades. At the end of phase 3, you must take all those cards and plant them. Once you've done that, you have one thing left to do. So the player 1 will take 3 new cards and add them to the back of their hand in the order in which they are drawn, creating their new hand. Play moves to the second player. They look at their hand. The first thing that they have is a red bean. They will plant that here. And now they have a blue bean. They can go ahead and plant that as well. So that ends phase 1 for them. Phase 2, we flip over cards. That's 2 stink beans. They don't have any stink beans in their hands, so they're probably not necessarily keen on keeping those. So they go around the table and ask, hey, is there anyone who would like to trade for that? Player 4 says, hey, I have a blue bean. I would be interested in trading for both those. So one-sided trades can happen. You can trade any number of cards for any number of other cards in this game. So if they wanted to trade 1 blue bean for 2 stink beans, that's perfectly fine. So they agree on the trade. The blue bean comes to player 2, who has blue beans on their field. And the stink beans come to player 4. They can look ahead and make a trade if they would like to, but they don't have to. So they're going to choose not to do any more trades. Phase 3 begins. They take these beans, they plant them onto their field, and that ends their turn. So you've seen a couple of examples of how to play the game, how to play the rounds. It's pretty straightforward. Now that we've done that, we're going to set up a situation to show a later game how to play and how to score on some of these cards. So now we're going to show you how to score some of these cards. We'll start with the green beans here. There are 3 of them, and on the bottom of the card here, it says 3 cards gets 1 coin. So if they were to harvest this field, they would flip over one of them, revealing a coin, and keep that. And those are victory points. The rest of them would be taken and put into the discard pile. For this stack here, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, looking at the bottom of the blue bean here, 6 is exactly what they need for 2 coins. So they would take 2 of these cards, flip them over, and keep them as victory points. The rest of the stack would be thrown away. For instance, let's look at the wax beans here. If they were to try to harvest these wax beans, there's only 3 of them. The minimum amount needed is 4. So if they were to harvest the wax beans, all of these would be thrown away and they would get 0 victory points. Not an ideal situation at all, but sometimes you have to whenever you're looking to play other beans. So the other side had a black-eyed bean. There's only one. They could not choose to harvest that one. They had to choose the one with more cards. One with more than one card. And then, for instance, if we go to the stink bean here, they have 4 total cards. However, on the bottom here, it says 3 is the minimum to get 1. However, 5 is the minimum to get 2. So they meet the 3, so they would flip it over and get 1 victory point, and the rest of these would be thrown away. And then with the soybean, it's a similar situation. They have 3. 2 is the minimum. They would only get 1 because the second minimum is 4. They would get 1 victory point. The game continues like this until this draw pile has been gone through 3 times in 4 to 7 players. In a 3-player game, it's only the second time it goes through. So everyone will go through their cards, go through them. Eventually this will go down to 0. This will all be shuffled back together and come back, and each time the deck will be a little bit shorter. After the game is over and the draw deck has been completed, has been finished, has been gone through a 3rd time, then everyone will look through their cards and count the number of gold coins that they have on the side. So in this example, this person has 1 point, this person has 2 points, and this person has 3 points. So player 4 would be the winner because they have the most victory points, most coins. However, in the event of a tie, whoever is furthest away from the starting player is the winner. That's how you play. This is Bohnanza. This is a great game. It's one that my family and I have played for a long time and really enjoy. And we hope you do too. Please like and subscribe, share, and put a comment in the comment section below if you have any questions or have played this game before or anything you want to add to this. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time, because that's the way we roll.